Hey guys, welcome to episode 15 of the MotorMarvel Podcast.
Welcome guys.
So in today's episode we've got a couple of exciting things, plus my experience in the BMW M135 and what I think of it.
Pretty cool looking car, Sal. You showed me the other day and I was like, this thing's pretty interesting.
But there are two disappointing things about it, which we both know.
We do, but look, cool looking car. Interested to get into it.
Great. Thanks to our sponsors, Exhaust Notes,
Hard Hat Watches, boys, like always.
And our new partnership with Only Cars.
Only Cars.
Yep, so
beautiful.
3 people now. But other than that, let's get on to the podcast.
Sounds good. All right, Sal. So this one was looking pretty promising. We were excited because there was lots of talk about it. There was lots of interest. We thought, wow, this is amazing. These are some of the big guns in Japan who are going to be like, right, let's bring it together. We know a few that have been having some troubles, but this for us was like, whoa.
Yeah,
exciting.
It was exciting. And now... it's a scary predicament for Nissan because now they need to come up with lots and lots of billions of dollars.
It's not a simple fix.
No, it's not. And as we know, they were saying that they're on the verge of bankrupt.
Yeah, and look, I think, I'm sure there's a lot of ins and outs to why it hasn't quite gone the way. From a little bit of the reading I was having a look at, it seemed to be, I think, too many people wanting to rule the roost, too many people wanting to be the main forefront, or I guess the main brand that led this, right? In the front of these.
So there's a lot of heads butting.
I think there's just a bit of head butting. And mate, there's probably some egos here with these big companies who have been very successful for a very long time. And when you come in, and I believe one of them was Honda, who was sort of saying they wanted to sort of lead the charge and be the head. Sort of the primary, I guess, name and brand and whatnot for the merger. Yeah. And I think that butted a few heads with a couple of others, which, fair enough. You've got some big players here. Probably not wanting to take much of a back seat. So, look, I think it's just a bit disappointing because really, unless Nissan has some options, what are they going to do?
Well, do you think most of these issues are happening? Look, this is kind of going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
All right? But do you think...
Let's just go down a little bit.
But do you think most of these issues are coming about because of government regulations, things that have been put in place to push brands and forcing them to obviously adopt cars that don't align with their branding and then eventually losing customers? And
I'm sure that plays a part, but I think if you go back to probably one of our earlier podcasts when we had Jono on here, right? And he was mentioning how, the transition has happened across the years with Japan taking supremacy and whatever else. I think they've just been, and these companies are probably good examples, and Nissan a good example, of just, they haven't kept up. They haven't kept up with their new and exciting offerings. They haven't really hit the market. They've just fallen a bit behind. And don't get me wrong, I think that's probably exacerbated by the EV revolution and things that are changing and are happening there. And I think a few car makers are getting caught in trouble with this whole let's go EV, let's not go EV.
Which we're going to discuss a bit later on.
This bit of yo-yoing at the moment, it's happening in the manufacturing of these vehicles. But I think going back to some of Jono's points, I think they would just have dominated for so long in Japan, and they sort of brought a fresh...
They got comfortable.
Yeah, they brought a big fresh look at it, 30 years ago, whenever it was, and we've been dominated by Japanese supremacy for a while now in the car industry and market, and I think they've just probably, maybe been a little comfortable with that, and they've just got a little lapse in keeping up. Yep. And I think that's contributed, but there's obviously a lot of factors. But
the scary thing is, guys, and I'm going to say this, we know that China's coming.
Oh, China's already knock, and bashing the wall down.
The difference is, right, we see Germans, like the Germans, the Italians, the Japanese. The Germans and the Italians don't really update their cars that frequently. Yep. They probably do a fresh update maybe every 2 years max, right?
Yep.
Japanese maybe every year. The Chinese have the capability of doing it whenever they want.
Yeah,
they literally make a car. If it doesn't work, scrap it. Update, scrap it, update. Yeah. So they are getting to where they need to be faster.
Oh, I mean, look, we talk technology anyway with its sort of exponential growth as far as where we're going, but it's just quicker and quicker.
They're making things cheaper.
Yeah.
They're doing cars cheaper.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, the response is, and this is what I feel sorry for the Japanese cars, and I feel sorry for many manufacturers. They're like, all right, we'll lower our costs, we'll lower our car prices, but then they just return and go, we'll just offer them even cheaper.
Yeah, we'll just find a way of doing it even cheaper.
You can't
and better
compete.
Again.
And what I feel like is happening, I honestly do think it's the governments need to lay off, like with these Japanese, the Germans, the American cars. They need to lay off because if they keep putting in all these regulations, before you know it, the only car that's going to be sold, and I'm scary to say this, will be Chinese cars because...
But at the same point, Sal, to get into Australia, the Chinese cars still need to tick the same boxes as the Japanese.
I know they do, but they're doing it. Because they're doing it at a cost.
So how is it the government then?
The government putting it on to manufacturers, like I'm talking about like in Europe, in America.
But they should have the same guidelines as what they're getting for all manufacturers.
But why?
So China's just obviously doing a better job of it.
They're just doing it at a cheaper cost.
Yeah, but they've obviously been able to work within these regulations better than the others, and that's what I'm saying. They're adapting better.
They're just you're right. They are.
And I don't think it's a matter of the government relaxing. I think it's a matter of these manufacturers that have been so comfortable and at the top of the game for so long and not having to worry about it. They're too slow. They're too slow to react. They're too slow to get on top of things. They're too slow to like start bringing things to the market. They're going to actually tick those boxes. And like you say, China's making new models and changing and doing and whatever else, whilst we've got these other manufacturers.
I think actually that's a good point.
Who are sitting too far behind and taking too long to come to.
And they're too relaxed.
Yeah.
And it's sad. It's sad because we're seeing big brands.
We talk about Hyundai, but Hyundai's hitting all the marks because they're bringing out models that are hitting certain markets. Yeah. And that are appealing to customers.
It's true because
and they're getting leaps and bounds there.
And BMW's doing the same.
Yeah,
BMW's doing
a decent job of it as well.
They're sticking to hybridization. They're sticking to electric. They're sticking to combustion. They're not saying nothing's nothing.
I think Mercedes is doing a
a
mid-tier job of it. But yeah, look, I think
on another note, away from kind of still on this board and talking about we're talking about BMW is that. BMW has said they're going to continue making V8s.
Yes.
They're not going to stop making V8s.
Yep.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Because they're like, all right, well, we'll keep making V8s, but we will do the eco things too.
I think we've never understood, why would you wipe...
the V8?
Well, why would you wipe out a whole entire market of vehicles?
Like, Audi's getting rid of their V8s, as we know it.
It really, to me, okay, it might not be your dominant engine and your dominant model and production.
But why would you get rid of it if it's selling?
If you're still selling them and there's still a demand for them, yeah, surely you keep that model line and you maybe scale across a bit differently for other models that might be more attractive to the market.
100%.
Look, let's talk about it more in the next one because
the next one, it's going to lead into the next one because there's a big brand that we're massive fans of that have, kind of shot themselves in the foot.
Right, so as we alluded to in just our previous topic, there's a major manufacturer here that, we've known and loved. I guess have just, like a lot, have decided that, they were hoping they were going to do a little bit better with some of their EVs, and it hasn't quite, so they've had to actually spend a big amount of dollars to turn it back around the other way. And it's a bit sad because, again, we mentioned this, I feel like obviously retrospect, it's easy to have a look back and go, you're an idiot, you should have done this, right? Because we retrospectively can see back.
Yeah.
And at the time, you probably think, we got to do X, Y, and Z to keep up and do this. But these big changes in manufacturing and big, tooling up and tooling down of equipment and whatever it is to make the EV revolution work has obviously bitten some of these manufacturers in the arse, and Porsche being one of them, because they're now going to have to spend
$831 million.
Nearly $1 billion to sort of go back and keep combustion engines alive because they've had to sort of, I guess, tool down a little bit on that end and maybe tool up a bit for the EV.
So I've seen a different article about this, and it's not just combustion engines, hybrids as well.
Yep. So
Porsche are looking into... Look, I've said it from day dot, hybrids are the future, right? Because it's the best of both worlds. Yep. I'm not against, like we've said before, I had a epiphany with EVs the last time we were talking about, like, they have their place, right? But in terms of the best of both worlds, it's hybridization, right? Because you still get the internal combustion motor and you get the electric motor for, for your range and for it's great, right?
Yeah.
Am I against an electric car? No, because a Porsche Taycan, for example, from the ground up, is an electric car.
But look here, right? We've got EV sales with the Taycan plunging 49% in 2024.
But see, again...
So as much as it's a ground-up built Porsche, which I think is great, and I agree with you, they're still failing.
I think it's because, hear me out, a lot of people are not going to like this, right? Hear me out. People don't want an electric Porsche. Like electric cars have their place, right? People buy a Tesla because they're electric.
Yeah.
People will buy an electric Hyundai, the Ioniq 5, because, people can see an electric Hyundai.
Yep.
No one's going to buy an electric Porsche.
Oh, look, people are.
People are, but I don't think
Doesn't
Okay, if
seem
you're
to
going
be
to spend big dollars, right? If you're going to go, guys, and I bet you agree on this, if you're going to go spend big mega bucks, right? You're not buying an electric Porsche. You're buying internal combustion motor. But if you're going to spend $100,000 or just under $100,000, you're buying an EV.
Well, again, I think it's also perception of brand, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about a Porsche, you think about noise, emotion, feel,
spirited driving,
it's all that,
enthusiasm, like
so they're
passion,
potentially
heritage.
Yeah, they're potentially not the brand to say, hey, let's go to A to B in electric. And I think that, years ago we were looking at, let's get these fast and dynamic and interesting EVs. I just don't think they appealed to everyone probably in the same way Porsche probably thought they were going to. And I think that realization now has kind of struck that, hey, our brand probably hasn't quite ticked that box.
Yep.
We need to have a look back at what we were really doing well. And that's
was internal combustion.
Yeah,
but then
internal
again,
combustion
I'm going
engines.
back on the government things again. I know you're saying it's not the government, but with these scenarios, it is. With the brands like this, when governments are putting in regulations against them, right? When their whole philosophy of their brand is designed for motoring enthusiasts, for passionate driving, for that, and they're forced to make electric cars, and then it destroys their brand, and they have to spend money on that. There has to be exemptions. There has to be okay, you're this brand and you're making all these high performance cars. At least give us some hybrids or, I don't know, an entry level car that's
The
smaller.
problem is we've got a community that has been talking for a long time now about the key we're trying to fix is pollution.
But it's bullcrap. Because I'll tell you why it's bullcrap. I'll tell you what, hear me out.
And so that's where this came from initially.
Cars are such a small, minute part of pollution where consumer goods like this and this. But we don't do that. No, let people keep buying clothes and just keep and what do we do with our clothes? We throw them. Why not just go? Well, no, not you want. We're going to save money on. We're going to save pollution from happening. Stop fast consumer goods like clothing. To you can only buy organically made clothing. Why do we have to punish cars? It seems to be let's just punish the car industry.
They have definitely been punished, and I think they've been through the bloody rigor the last few years, right?
It's freaking bullshit.
You don't get me wrong. You're definitely right about some of these government regs having a big effect on a lot of them, but at the same point,
because like I said, we're not against EVs. I think they do 100%. They have their place. They have their place for people that just want to get from A to B, and you know what? They're very low cost. 100%. Low cost to this, awesome, right? If that's what you're buying it for, mad. But I don't think if we go completely EV in cars, that's going to be the solution.
No, and I think we've talked about this. I think your hybrids are going to be somewhere.
Yeah.
I think you're going to have your little Porsche EVs. I just think Porsche has kind of been bitten here,
and
along with some other manufacturers.
831 million, and they have to spend that making
to get back.
What's that going to do to Porsche?
Look, I think they're a big company. $1 billion sounds like a lot. I think they'll be able to turn it around.
Well, let's see.
Yep. One of your favourite brands, Sal, from the motherland.
From the motherland is doing well, which you'd expect. Honestly, they're just sold out, till 2027. Look, the F80 is a bit of a disappointment, not in its terms of its design. I think it looks freaking awesome.
Yep.
It looks awesome. And you'd expect that to be the top tier Ferrari.
Yes.
It's going to look epic.
Pretty wicked.
Right?
Pretty wicked.
The problem is that it's got the V6 twin turbo in it, and it doesn't sound epic as a V12.
Do you think they're going to do something about that?
Who knows? It's not that this thing doesn't perform. It does.
Oh, I'm sure. We never had really a problem with performance, right?
Yeah.
With these sort of things. They will perform.
But it's
usually about that sound and that emotion and that feel and everything else.
And that's
they don't always bring.
Well, the thing is, you think about it. You buy a Ferrari for one reason only. Nothing sounds like a Ferrari. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. There is nothing that sounds like a naturally aspirated Ferrari V8 and V12.
Oh,
nothing
when
else.
you hear one of those V12s,
you know straight away.
Doing a tunnel run,
you know straight away.
Just
like Ferrari.
Oof.
Yeah, Ferrari.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they must be doing something right in terms of with that and but most of their cars are looking pretty good. I
think range is pretty good. I think they've got a fair bit of stuff that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I still think they're appealing to their market mostly, with a little bit of some diversion of things, but they're mostly appealing to their market, and I think obviously they've still got a pretty good following there of people who are keen on their cars and want them. So
I know they've put in severe restrictions with purchasing this car.
I did hear about some pretty silly restrictions
Like,
also.
ridiculous.
Yep.
Like, you need to own, like, over $1 million worth, like more than that.
What I heard was you'd had to have spent about $50 million
on Ferraris.
in Ferraris over their course.
Correct.
And, like, never have on-sold them,
Nah.
and never have done
Nah.
X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
There was...
It was like a stupid requirement to
get.
And you know what? To be fair, when it comes to these, yes, I agree. Because what people do
You can do it.
is they buy them and they try to sell them.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the brand's trying to stop that. So I don't think that's a dumb thing.
You won't possibly be able to do that with
No. The most scariest thing is the next one. So if you slide across to the next one,
we'll keep it going.
Keep it going. We might as well because it's just for this part. Is this.
Yeah.
So we were talking about Porsche going to EV and then obviously realising what's happening.
Yep.
I don't know what Ferrari are thinking.
Again, I think if they just do a ground up EV something model as a part of their range
And just keep one.
and don't attach it to anything
No,
else,
don't attach to anything and
Perfect.
just keep it.
I don't think that's a problem.
No, me either. I don't think it's
Yeah.
I think it's...
And honestly, I kind of feel like it should be, well, this would be interesting, but like a hatch or an SUV.
I would never do that.
I know, but I reckon...
It should be a sedan.
Yeah,
Ferrari's never done a sedan.
I'm sure you could do a sedan.
That would make sense.
Yeah,
if they did a
an EV
Ferrari EV sedan,
Yeah.
because it would make sense, but they would never do a
I
hatchback.
know they wouldn't, but I kind of feel like that's the kind of car you want, is a hatchback or a sedan or something where you...
There's one more way they could make this work. An affordable Ferrari sports car. Not a supercar, sports car.
sports car.
That would make sense.
Maybe, but would you spend the money on an EV sports car from Ferrari?
See, that's weird. See,
I don't think I would. I still think you got to tick when I think EV definitely have its place, but its place is around town A to B, efficiency and like more family orientated.
see, Lotus are doing it right.
I don't think sports car or hypercar or any of that for EV.
Yeah, because you wouldn't buy it.
So that's why I think it's got to be an SUV, a hatch, a sedan, something that's
That people can use this for a family car.
that's going to go around town and it's affordable. That is what EV does well.
Because you're right, because if they build a sedan, people who own Ferraris will buy it for the sake of buying it, because they're like, I've got my V12 and I've got a Ferrari EV. That makes sense. I agree.
If they do that, then I think they might have a decent market.
Then they'll have a decent market. But look at Lotus. Lotus is doing it right.
Are they?
Have you seen the new Lotus VV?
I've seen some of it, but
It's nice.
I've heard many issues with their mirrors.
That's a different car.
Yeah. There's a lot of people quite unhappy.
British cars. Are they reliable?
I think there's some manufacturing issues. There's some warranty issues.
Wow.
There's a few problems going on with these. Don't know too many details, but a few of the bits and pieces I've seen is they ain't getting such rave reviews so far as what you're getting for your money.
So we'll do a bit more research to do that in next week's podcast. But I agree with Nick with Ferrari. If they do a sedan or a four-wheel drive, it would make sense because their customers will be like, you know what?
Yeah.
I've got a V12.
How big is their SUV? Is it a big SUV?
The same way?
Yeah. Because I'm thinking, what if they did a small-sized SUV?
Well, I'm getting one of those for review.
Because I feel like that's not a bad market to hit, but on the smaller side, maybe they could get away with that.
Yeah.
Like a soccer mum SUV.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In an EV.
That's a good point.
Might do it.
Yeah. But anyway. I agree with you. I think if they do it as a sedan or four-wheel drive and it's an add-on to your collection of Ferraris for your everyday use, I see it working for the brand.
Yeah, same.
All right, Mercedes at it again with stupidity. And
yeah, I feel like they've lost their way a little bit, but
big time lost their way.
Yeah.
So we'll play this, and then I'll explain something a bit later. So play this, Nick.
Let's have a bit of a listen here. What do we got? We got the S63.
Guys, I'm in the new Mercedes AMG S63, which has a 4-litre V8 up front, quad exhaust pipes at the back. It should sound amazing, but listen to this. They've decided to give it a fake engine noise. Have a listen.
Yeah.
Oh dear. And then it just cuts out abruptly. It goes... Brah, 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 brah.
Yeah.
What the...
I'm not sure, Sal, because you go to all the effort and you're still keeping a beautiful engine in there.
Yeah.
Which we all agreed.
Twin turbo V8.
Beautiful. Love it. Look at this interior. Looks amazing. And then you go and do that. Why? I don't get it. I really don't.
But it sounds like it's revving, and it's like, well, that's enough for you. It's like, they're telling you that's enough.
Stop it.
Stop it. Like, what the... I can't swear, but See, okay, so this is where it's going to bring me on to this. It's that this is annoying the crap out of me, and what annoyed the crap out of me is what I was saying at the start when I had the M135 this week.
Yep.
I honestly thought that was going to be the hot hatch to redeem BMW.
Yeah.
Because the previous generation, the F40, which was the first iteration of the 4-cylinder turbo petrol motor and all-wheel drive setup that was predominantly front-wheel drive, replaced the glorious M140i, which we all loved, which had the B58 straight 6 turbo and rear-wheel drive, which made that hatchback
amazing car.
So unique, because there was never a rear-wheel drive hatchback. That F40 series was hideous. The first iteration of that 4-cylinder turbo petrol was absolutely disgusting, and we were all mortified that the straight 6 was gone.
Yep.
I thought this new generation, because we both agreed, looked
awesome. What did I say to you when I stepped out?
Looked like a squished M3, you said.
I was like,
touring.
This thing is amazing. Yeah. The front, beautiful. The rear, looks like you're saying, squished M3 touring. I was like...
It looked sick.
They've done a great job.
Interior was
beautiful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But like I said in my review, there were two things that made it fall short from being perfect. And number one was, and I was telling Nick this, everything on that car can be optioned on the M135 on the standard 118.
Yeah.
So it makes the M135
not as
pointless.
Yeah, well, not as unique. And we've always commended BMW for doing uniqueness with their
top
models and their top tier models, so that really you can tell when you're on the street that this is a different looking car and it stands itself apart. They've kind of not done that on this, obviously. No. And then that's a little disappointing for us, because we always commended them, because that was always a really great thing about the BMWs. You drive down the street, you would know that wasn't just an M240 or whatever, and it was a M2.
Correct.
Or it was a M3.
Well, look, to be fair, and look, a lot of people are going to say to me, and probably say in the comments, because this 1 Series has never ever been a proper M car.
M,
Yes, that is true. The M140i was never a proper M car, but it had a straight 6 B58 turbo motor with a rear-wheel drive setup, which none of the other models had. So it had an engine that was very unique to it. Yes, it probably didn't look too much different to the standard models with the M Sport kit, but you knew when you heard that thing, right? With the M135, it's got a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol motor and an all-wheel drive system that's predominantly front-wheel drive, which is not a special engine, which then, if all the body panels and all that and the interior can be put on the standard model, what are you doing? You're paying for a little bit more power? The engine doesn't sound great. The engine sounds like a lawnmower. I'm not being... And it's fake exhaust pumped through the speakers, right? And there's a soft limiter on a BMW.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. Yeah. Right, that's the one thing.
That's one thing. I think there was a lot of things.
So that's the one thing, right? Is that it could be opted out to look like the standard thing. The second thing was, even though it was fast, even though it was quick, it didn't feel special. It didn't feel unique.
Like a little bit of engagement.
It lost its thrill of being a driver's car, which the brand prides itself. It just frustrates me that they were so close with this BMW.
Yeah.
So close.
They were. Fantastic car from looks, internal, exterior, all the rest of it. Just from us as enthusiasts, it would have been just a little bit more, and it would have been the perfect enthusiast little hot hatch, right?
And I'm just thinking, going like we were saying off camera, it's getting to a point now where all cars are looking the same. They're not feeling any different to each other.
Yeah.
The problem with that Beamer is it blended with the rest of the crowd of the hot hatches.
Yep.
It was like, you're cool, you've got your own unique styling, but you're the same as everything else. The same power plant, same drivetrain, same everything.
Yeah.
And we're moving away from designing cars.
Yeah, that have that uniqueness, right?
Uniqueness.
Yeah, we talk about unique when we go back to,
Nick's Dodge.
Nick's Dodge that we had a look at and did a review on. If you guys haven't checked it out, jump on and have a look, because that is one cool car.
Yeah.
But the design there was done purely for design.
Purely for design.
Yeah. They didn't, it wasn't for, aerodynamics, or it wasn't for
efficiency.
Yeah, exactly. It was purely for design for something cool.
Like, you remember the old cars of the day, I'm talking highly expensive cars, right? Yeah. They went to effort to make sure every knob was aluminium.
Yeah.
All right. Everything was covered in leather.
And then the dials, the vents, right? Remember all the different vents? The Ferraris did it quite well. All the different Ferrari vents and stuff. All these things are unique on these cars.
And the dials look like a Rolex.
Yeah.
Like I used to love getting into a car and look at the speedometer. It was my mate when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Seeing how cool the speedometer was, right?
Yeah.
Because the ones with the coolest designs and dials looked mad. And you always wanted to see 300. Because if it said 300 kilometers an hour, you're like, that's fast.
Yeah.
But really, you never hit that. But like things like that, we're just getting screens now. Like the new Lamborghini, it's 3 screens. What are you paying for?
Yeah, there's no design there when it's just a big LED screen and it's just some software on a screen, right? We're looking at screens and technology all day on a phone, on a computer, whatever. And then you jump in a car and you go, I look at another screen. No one really cares that they might have done a different layout on their screen.
No.
Or it looks a bit cooler. It's like, still just a digital touch display.
And that brings me on to this one, which is our last subject.
Yep.
Last topic.
Yeah.
Sorry, topic. The new BMW renders for the new the iM3, which is the electric M3. And now Nick's like...
Yeah, look, Sal, I don't like it. Whether it's just someone doing a shitty render, but I'm not a fan. Maybe it'll be different, or if it comes out, it might look a bit better. But at the moment, yeah.
That's again. Design again.
It's
for shit. It's just...
Yeah. Look, I'm hoping they're going to do something better than that. I'm still not that excited, to be honest, about the car in general.
I just feel like right now we're in a time where it's actually sad and it's scary, because we've spoken about this multiple times. If you have to spend under 100 grand, there really isn't that much things that you can buy that are special.
No.
And even if you spend over it, there's still like
you got to spend over it. Really,
I think I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to buy something old, or I'm going to build something eventually, because.
Yeah. I think that's what our generation is doing. The younger generation probably doesn't care as much as us, but our generation is still hooked on all the old cars that we grew up and loved and wanted. So, yeah, I think it's a bit of an interesting time. Let's hope this, with some of these changes, like we see Porsche going back to, doing some ICE engines still and whatnot. Let's hope that we sort of find in the next couple of years a bit more balance. And that's what I'm looking for. A little bit more balance between having our EVs and having our internal combustion. Maybe going back to getting a little bit of uniqueness in design with some of these cool cars and concepts, and see how we go. But yeah, that's about all we can do.
Like, I'm going to end it on this. Jeremy Clarkson once did a video, right, when he was in the Aston. And this was a long time ago, guys. This video was done, I think, in 2012. Mark me if I'm wrong. Can't quote me on that. But it was an old video. It was a Top Gear video. Where he's driving, remember the Aston, through the mountains, right, and all that. And then... he says cars like this are going to be shunned back into the history books.
Yeah.
Because they're going to disappear. And they are. We're starting to see...
they'd go, yeah.
Beautiful V12s, V8s, straight sixes, naturally aspirated cars completely being retired. And they're getting pushed back into the history books. And we're just not seeing them. And then the design elements and all that are just disappearing. So... I'm sad to see this happen, and I hope Nick's right that we are gonna see some change.
Yep.
But
stay tuned to see if we do.
Other than that, guys, on that sad note, thanks for watching and thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on another episode of the MotorMarvel Podcast.
Don't forget, like and subscribe, guys, and check out some of our recent reviews and some of Sal's reviews on the cars as well on the channel.
There's way more content coming out, so I'll catch you soon.
Catch you soon.